Hi everyone, and welcome back to our Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire tabletop role-playing campaign. After the fire, we are back with one of our probably penultimate episode this week. So we have everybody here. I'm just going to check they're in the right place. Yes, they are. Well done, me. So let's go round, have a chat to people, see how they're doing this week, see if they're prepared for to shuffle off their mortal coil. I mean, enjoy the session. Up first, Don, how are you doing, friend?
Oh, I'm good. I have no idea what's in store for Samwell Tarley today, but last session was a blast. So I'm here. It's great to be with everybody again. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing how all this ends, like what becomes of Westeros and the Reach and Dorne and our characters. It's pretty exciting.
Sweet. And you got a little bit of a break in April, right? From kind of your games. And a little bit of work.
I'm doing finishing up a couple of like long-standing projects this month, and I'm running less games than usual.
Right.
And then next month I get to start a couple of new projects that I'm really, really excited about. I'll kind of be back to my regular schedule.
Sweet. Awesome. Awesome. Speaking of awesome. Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Ha. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm slowly digesting. I ate about a toddler's weight in poutine, which was far too much poutine. So I'm slowly digesting that and making my way through. But I'm good because today is my lovely husband's birthday. So the vibes are good here. It's his 35th birthday. All hail the elbow. Forever may he bend. So yeah, no, I'm good. I'm in good spirits, and I'm looking forward to Myria finally claiming the Dornish throne and setting everything to rights, as it should be in the world.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can accomplish that from a sick bed, I guess.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Just checking. And Tom, how you doing, friend?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. I now have 4 days off. I'm off work because we got some bank holidays, so that's very nice for me. So I'm gonna 4 days of doing nothing, which is gonna be fantastic. But yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm a bit sad that it's slowly all coming to an end, but hey, all good things must come to an end, right?
That's all right, because Susie will start a campaign up after this one.
That's it. We end this campaign and go straight into Susie's. Easy peasy.
Oh, dear me. And Millie is with us. Hello, friend. How you
Hi.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Everything's calmed down a little bit now. A little bit. So I'm a lot more mellow than I was, which is so nice. Very nice.
Cool.
Excited, sad. Whatever that word. Excited. No.
I'm sure there's a German word where they've chucked a load of words together for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like squeeing and crying simultaneously.
Squying?
Squying. Yeah, all right, I'm squying.
Cool. All right. Thank you. V. Hello.
Hello.
How you
I'm
doing?
all right. Yeah.
Apart from
very, very busy week this week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Apart from the comedy Strahd.
It's not the worst, but it's not even Strahd. They're in a place that is possibly more horrible than Barovia.
Oh, okay.
And they've still turned it into comedy. But yeah. So I had that. My first session of Death Ascendant started this week. I'm gonna have 7 players by next week. I'm horrified. It has been like 4 years since I ran for that many people at one table, so that'll be fun.
Too many players. Put some players back.
I can't.
No, but you can though.
I can't though, Sam. I really can't. But that's fine. It's exciting. I'm excited for how this is gonna end. I've had lots of work this week between writing and graphics, which is good, and preparing for Dread Realms, which starts in May. So
yeah,
I've
your
got
Patreon thing,
two
right?
more. Yeah, but basically, yeah.
Like Kofi thing.
I've only got 2 more open seats, so I'm slowly starting to get all the primer stuff together for that while I wait for those to fill up. So it's exciting, but yeah, I'm terrified about what tonight has in store for everybody.
That's fair.
Not just Mara, for everyone.
Okay, fair enough. Don's right. Samwell is in a bad way. He can only roll -4 on language checks with all his wounds. Literally a -4. There are no. Does that mean you'll have like no dice to save? You've just forgotten how to talk.
He has no dice left for many of his skills and -4 automatically from his injuries. So yeah.
Eek. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this episode is I called it Tattered Banners because we've got people that are kind of like a bit kind of displaced here and there and trying to figure out what to do next. So yeah, it should be a fun one indeed. I've got to confess that actually I'm going to be away next Thursday. So we'll have to do like a final episode or 2 after that when I'm back. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. So I have to do some final episodes when I'm back then. But yeah, this is going to be our kind of closing little arc. So have a think about any last, like, final, like, dramatic questions you want to answer for your characters, or last things that you want to try and do or get up to. Obviously, through the kind of, flow of the story, you might come up with things on the fly, or you might change that, but have a think about, any last kind of resolutions you want to try and get done for the next couple of sessions. And we'll see if we can get them done. Anyway, all right. Without further ado, we should get into our what is season 6, episode 15. See, Tom knew it wasn't going to be 10. Tattered Banners. Let me chuck some of the music on. We'll get into it. Myria. Now, hang on a minute. Now, come on. We haven't seen you for a while. This is why you're first. Don't do this.
Okay.
Instead of me opening the scene and stuff like that, I want to know what your courtly life is like now in the next few days, as you have recovered a little more. I mean, you've had that. You've been attended to by a maester pretty much every day now for the last few days. After feeling a bit better. You have no reason to believe you're not still with child, miraculously. And so, like, I want to know what your courtly life is like, and also what you're kind of doing, what your plans are next.
Okay. I imagine her sort of courtly life at the minute is much more restricted than it was. Like previously she was out there like all hours of the day with the men, or she was in Ironwood village itself, helping with like rebuilding and stuff. But because of the injury she suffered, I think she's much more restricted to what she's doing now. So she's not out there and sparring or training with the men. She's I think if she does go out, she goes out to like catch a bit of sun and watch them. And because of her injuries, I like to think that she dug out like a cane of Mama Ironwood's.
Yeah.
And she's using that to help her get around. Because I mean, though technically her wound is healed, like it's not just going to feel better after a day. So she's still fucked. So she's kind of cutting around. But I think because she's so fiercely independent, she's like, I can fucking do this. So she's using this cane to get around, and mainly her preparations are making sure that there's no follow-up reprisal attack from Bloodraven, because she knows his forces were basically untouched over there, and she has also heard of his reputation. So she's doubling down on security of the castle, making sure that anyone who's coming in or out is like extremely well vetted. like it's all like super locked down here to
Yeah.
make sure that everyone is safe.
Yeah.
And she would be sending out as many letters and things to people around to find out, just get intel about what's happening, because while she's here at the castle, she's cut off from everyone. So she doesn't know what's going on with the wider, like what's happening in the Reach. She doesn't know what's going down in Sunspear. She hasn't heard from the Fowlers, Manwoodies, or anyone like that. So she's just trying to gather intel while she is confined to the castle, basically. She's just trying to consolidate.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you roll me then It's funny because it's like a kind of a streetwise check, but I'm interested to see if we can do it with something else, seeing as you're kind of sending letters out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a language roll.
Ooh. Okay.
Ability to communicate. But it's also about, at least for the maester, about animal handling as well, because they're sending out ravens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There is a coordinate under will, if that helps.
That's a really good idea, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
We'd barely ever roll that, but yeah, coordinate is a specialty under will. So, it's like assisting somebody usually, like in they have this in combat, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. If you're trying to coordinate people, you're trying to get intel, you're trying to kind of extend your own reach and control via these letters. Yeah. Let's roll will coordinate.
All right.
Okay.
Let's chuck a bonus die in there from my frame.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Make sure I've not got my 2 wounds. I've just got the 1. Ba-ba-da-da, ba-ba-da-da. 8. Oh my god, Myria. That was 3 ones.
Oof. Okay. So you can ask me 2 questions about the situation kind of around your neck of the woods. Like
Okay.
the northwestern dawn.
Tom, will was good for me, but I have a wound. Okay. Does it have to be just north of Dawn? Can I find out about what's happening in Sunspear?
Yes, but I have something for that later.
Okay.
If you want to wait.
All right. I'll wait. Okay, so has there been any sign of Bloodraven in the area, in the Boneway, or in the lands around Ironwood?
Yes. Scouts report that they think the Raven's Teeth have been sighted in and around the Boneway and the Red Mountains. Not to the north, but actually within that stretch between House Will and House Ironwood itself.
Okay, and what of House Will? Like, how are they doing after they were being sieged by Unky Makey?
House Will seem to still be holding up well in their keep. They weren't taken over by the Targaryens or by Bloodraven, and so they, by the accounts that you can hear and the rumors that you can gather and be piecing things together, you think they're actually faring quite well behind their walls.
Okay.
That was right, because Fowl was on the other end. Karen was with you. But defeated. So I think Lord Pierce still remains at Ironwood for some time, and for many days and well into the late evenings, he's actually being quite entertaining and, you know, taken quite a liking to your court. And so, you know, this evening you can hear kind of rowdy, bawdy songs coming from the that kind of top floor courtroom that Horatio used to keep, with the balcony overlooking the yard. And it's a small courtroom, but there seems to be, you know, loud kind of drunken songs coming from it, by the many kind of Brotherhood knights, as well as Lord Pierce. And so he's stuck around for a while, and he's because his units were defeated, there was really only kind of some stragglers of his that are able to keep a presence here, but they bolster your guard as well, and they are able to kind of maintain a position here at the castle.
Okay. I think Myria has enjoyed at least having, you know, another sort of lord here. So, you know, someone else of her. God, that sounds so dickish, but of her standing here in the castle, and you know, him bolstering her guard and entertaining the troops has been a godsend because morale is everything. So she's certainly not keen to get rid of him at the time. And I think, you know, when we have these like bawdy nights, she'll go up for a little bit and, you know, she'll sit among the men. She's not drinking like heavily like they are, because the maester's probably been like, don't fucking do it, you're sick, don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably warned her off excessive stuff. But she, you know, she shows her face, you know, she joins in a couple of the songs here and there, not the too bawdy ones, because after all, she is still a lady, but certainly. But there is something else, as I think at this moment she's probably stood like in the doorway watching this happen. There's something else niggling at the back of her mind, and she thinks to Lady Jane that is being held prisoner here in the house, and she's thinking about what she has to do about Lady Jane. And she's concocting a plan of how to deal with this situation. And I think one evening she grabs Sir Lysander of the Brotherhood, and she says to him that, Sir Lysander, the Blood Raven is still lurking around. And I fear for the safety of our prisoner. I feel that it would be in our best interest to move her from the castle.
To where would you like, my lady?
Somewhere where she's not likely to be intercepted. Somewhere where she can be hidden, at least for the time being.
Our only real allies are eastward, along the Tor, or perhaps the Sunspear. We have not heard from the Fowlers, obviously, and the man with the host. It's destroyed, and so their house will have hunkered down like ours, most likely. Perhaps we can move her to somewhere more rural and disguise her in the right way.
We should also do it quietly. Make sure only a few men know who she is and where she's going.
I will take another of my most trusted, and we will go together.
And she takes a deep sigh. when you get her there, I need you to make sure that she will not return.
He pauses for a second and he looks at you straight into the eyes, and then he gives one slow nod, and then he goes to leave.
And Myria, like, she feels sick to her stomach about it. Like, she's lost all appetite for the songs, for the drinking. And I think from that moment, she just like returns to her chambers for the night. She's like, can't do this. This is rotten.
Later that evening, as you're preparing for bed, and trying to get comfortable, you hear a knock at your door. And then one of your handmaidens enters, and she says, "My lady, Lord Pierce is outside."
And Myria like shrugs on like a heavy duty gown or something, like a dressing robe. Send him in.
Lord Pierce, as much as he's in his cups, enters and sways a little, but he has quite a sobering look on his face, and he says with some excitement, "My lady, there has been a messenger come through the Boneway from House Will. It seems to be about House Fowler."
A messenger? And like Myria like perks up from this point.
A knight, by all accounts.
All right, and what message did he bear?
He wanted to give it to you.
All right. Give me a moment. Have him wait in the courtroom. I'll be there in a moment.
He bows and does his best to like head away sober, as sober as he can, and heads into the corridor and out the back door and out the door. Sorry, and then your handmaiden closes it behind him.
Okay. Yeah, Myria's gonna kind of dress. Obviously, she can't put on her full gear because that requires help, and also she's gonna go to bed soon. So fuck this. So she dresses as best she can. And with a little stick, she heads up to go see what this messenger business is all about.
Okay, and as you tend your courtroom, he is flanked by two of your Brotherhood and Brotherhood Knights, and he's being closely watched. This is a kind of young middle-aged knight. Slightly balding head, with pointed cheekbones and a pretty kind of exhausted look on his face. It's kind of dusty and rough skin, and his boots look worn out, and his chain looks heavy on his shoulders. But he gives you a bow, and then he says, "My Lady Ironwood, I come from Castle Will, and news of the Fowlers there. The force that you took, that you ordered to fight the rear flank of the Targaryen column, was not entirely defeated at the Boneway, and they made their way to Castle Will, where they were received as guests. It's my duty to inform you that Lord Bloodraven hasn't returned to try and gain a foothold at the keep or the holdfasts there, and I think I'm lucky to be alive. My squire not so much. They seem to have tried to pin down the Boneway with random attacks, almost like raiders or bandits. Just to try and harry any kind of messages getting through. Another knight, although I barely knew him, and his squire were to come this way too. And he looks around and he says, I presume that you have not heard from them."
You are the only guest we have received in some time.
And he gulps at that. "Very well. that is really all the news that I bring. But it seems at least that House will honour an oath to guard the way, as House Ironwood does, from any further Targaryen incursions.
I am heartened to hear that, and that our friends the Fowlers are doing well. Please, and she looks at one of her men, see that this gentleman is cared for.
And
get him some rest, some food.
yeah, and Lord Pierce himself kind of comes forward and takes him aside and gets him some food and a bit and something hearty to drink. And so he's looked after as well.
Okay, and then after that, she kind of pulls Karen aside. So it appears the Blood Raven has decided he's going to haunt the Boneway, which poses an issue for us, because we are now cut off from the Wills and we're cut off from the Reach.
Seems doing all the best he can with what he has. Wouldn't say
Neither
that's
of
something
us,
I would do. But...
None of us right now have the forces to evict him from the premises either.
With no word from the Reacher front, and with little word from Sunspear, although it's being besieged, it seems we might be stuck here for some time.
It appears so. We should have enough supplies to be able to hold the fort for quite some time, which is in our favor, as the Boneway is not necessarily forgiving for anyone who might try to dwell there, especially a foreigner. So the Blood Raven will eventually run low on supplies, run low on food.
We'll just have to wait him out and hope the supply lines from the south maintain.
Well, I hope you don't mind being a guest here at Ironwood. It seems you're here for a while.
Taken quite a liking to your court, if I'm honest.
Well, we're quite glad to have you here too. Thank you, Lord Karen. And she gives him a genuine thank you smile.
And he taps you on the shoulder and gives you a smile and a nod, and then he wanders off again to grab a little bite to eat late into the evening. Mara, you wait and wait into the evening with Enzo and with Faye, keeping to the bushes, keeping low to any passers-by that might come through. And you hope and you wait for soldiers decked in the Tarly green and red, the huntsmen, to come your way to perhaps try and come back to camp to grab anything they can. But you don't see them come this way. And your vantage point on the camp, there's really no one for hours that comes by. In the distance, as the sun begins to set, you can see some quite large smoke plumes off in the distance towards the battlefield.
Does it look like the Greenmont have left the camp? Did we see those soldiers leave?
There's no, you've sat here for a couple of hours now, and there's definitely nobody in the camp. If there are, they've got to be a master of stealth and have stayed still or out of your sight for a long time.
What's the impression that Mara can make out of the battle? Is it still ongoing? Or is it kind of reached that point where everyone's exhausted and it's still happening, but it's almost like when you hit that almost stalemate point where it's one side taking shots and then the other, because everyone's just wrecked at this point.
Yeah. You can't quite tell. You don't have a direct line of sight or good distance on the battlefield itself from where the camp was positioned. You no longer hear, even in the distance, the kind of sound of battle that would echo around the trees a little off in the distance. And so I guess you wouldn't think there was battle that was still ongoing. Excuse me. But the Tarly force definitely has not come back this way.
I think kind of weighing this up in her mind, it's now the point where, you know, she kind of has to make some decisions, and that depends a lot on some of the people around her. Assuming that at this point they're probably off of their horses, and if no one's come past here for a while, Mara's going to try to take the 2 knights that she has with her off to one side, away from Enzo and Faye, like out of earshot.
Okay.
And when she's got them to one side, assuming that neither Faye nor like Faye doesn't try to come running after her to see where she's going, she will pull the letter that she's had kind of tucked between the folds of her armor and clothing, and it's still folded up, and hold it in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the kind of mood of the both of them? Because these are men that Mara would know reasonably well.
They're tired, definitely. And they're just trying to stay vigilant. They're trying to do right by you, by protecting you. But you can see that they're anxious. Underneath it all, you can see that they're, worried that they haven't seen any of their fellow soldiers come through.
And she's turning this folded piece of paper over in her hands again and again, and doesn't quite look at them for a moment, but then does. Whoever is the more senior of the two, I guess, is who she kind of directs this to, just as picking like a focal point to try and calm her nerves.
Yeah.
It's possible that they've left the battlefield some other way if things have gone badly. It's also possible that we don't have an army left. You pledged your sword to Glendon Tarly, and in joining this battle, you pledged your sword to my husband too. For all any of us know, he might not be coming back either. She's really trying to hold on to some sense of grace and not dwell too much on that thought. If the worst has happened, would the both of you still pledge your swords to me as a lady of this house?
I want you to test status with the command specialty from Warfare.
I don't think I have a command specialty from Warfare. I do not.
So
I've only got status reading.
Straight up status then.
Button. That roll. $14.
They look between each other for a moment, but then they give you a nod, and the one that you're talking to says, aye.
She'll look to the other man as well for that verbal confirmation.
And, after a second slight awkwardness, he nods and he just says, aye.
I have in my hands the last thing that Samwell wrote in terms of instructions for me and what to do with this house. I'm going to show these to you, the both of you. What you read on this piece of paper will be shared with nobody. I ask nothing of you with what this piece of paper says. If you are willing to follow the orders that he left on here, I would be grateful. But if not, we will never speak of it again. Keeping this house and the rest of our men out of any more death or danger is my only concern right now. And I have no bargaining chips except the one that this piece of paper might give me, or the bargaining chip that our army gives me, if there's anything left of them. And she takes on a very serious look to the pair of them and hands it to the older of the two.
Mm-hmm. The older one slowly peels it open and mouths the words to himself that are written there. And then passes the letter to the younger knight, who kind of looks at him without looking down at the words on the paper and just kind of slowly kind of shakes his head. And so the older knight leans over and whispers into his ear the message about getting you to safety and for you to, like, find someone to, you know, put a baby in you and call it Samwell's son or daughter. And so once that's understood between the two of them, the older knight looks back to you and he says, "We'll follow you, my lady, wherever you have to go. Just let us know."
And she'll nod and take the piece of paper back, tuck it back into her clothing. What is on that piece of paper is only a bargaining chip, if it works. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is no guarantee there.
They look
Before I
confused,
do,
but he kind of nods.
before we leave this place, I need to see if we still have an army. Because if we do, we are taking them with us. Once it gets dark enough, let's prepare to head back towards the camp, get a better vantage point on the battlefield, see if anyone looks like they're returning, see if it looks like anyone's about anywhere. And if not, we ride back towards Ashford, one of the houses that we passed along the way that pledged their fealty under the Black Banner.
Faye and Enzo, it's in this moment that you see beginning to pass along the kind of, from your perspective, rear of the camp. Foot soldiers in yellow and green that begin to pick away at the tent flaps, pick up crates to look inside, kind of slash away at cloaks or clothing that have been left over lines or guy ropes. And the campfires are now more than gone out. Just little black soots, circular soots in the ground remaining. But so they start to look around and start to pick apart the camp, start to pick up any scraps they can find of supplies.
Okay. Enzo's gonna lean into Faye. Do you know what house galas they are?
Sam, Faye would know. I can't remember. I'm assuming that's Leo's family.
It is.
Yeah, my brain's dissolved.
Yeah, it is Highgarden colours, and they wear the yellow rose on their tabards.
Mm.
And they look like foot soldiers. So a few of them carry spears, a few simple swords and shields. They don't look particularly knightly. They're in kind of chain and bits of plate, but they're not, that particularly well armed or armored. And there's maybe now starting to converge on the camp about a dozen of them.
Tyrell man from Highgarden.
Oh. Fun. I think I think we should move on now. I don't think any Tarleys are coming back.
Well, if no Tarleys are coming back, that's who we should be with.
If there was maybe someone we could talk to, yes. I'm not sure they're gonna care.
Care what?
That you are not on either side.
You're funny. She's going to watch them. How close are they getting?
They're getting I'd say that the edge of the old Tarly camp is probably about 60 feet or so away from you, from your position. And so that is the very edge at which they get kind of close to you, towards you.
She'll lean back to him and just whisper, well, either way, either those men have to die or those ones do, and gesture to Mara's men. I suggest we let them scrap it out between them and see who wins.
I understand the idea and I like it. It is good. I really do. But they're just going to see a bunch of men and women. They're not going to care who you are.
I'll make them care.
Not Faith. Please trust me in this. You will just be a woman to them. I assure you.
She'll turn back to look at him with this, don't you fucking challenge me look.
If there was someone of note, maybe a commander, maybe even
I am a commander. What do you think I am?
Not to them, you're not, Faye.
No?
No.
Do you have any other suggestions?
We slip away.
Running.
Served me well so far. Keeps you alive. And keeping alive should be our priority at this moment.
And Mara, you can return as whenever you like. You've finished your conversation with the knights.
Does she also spot the Tyrell men now that are at the camp?
Yeah, they're being obvious. They're not trying to hide themselves. But you know, the five of you still have like enough kind of concealment to just stay out of sight if you wanted to.
How many men are there roughly? Is this just like a handful, or is this like a?
There are about a dozen have turned up to camp.
I'm sure that Mara's knights have noticed this probably before she does.
Yeah.
But once we're all back together, well, I was hoping that we could make our way back to the camp tonight. That they might choose to wait there for anyone that will go back. We should make our way back to one of the houses that we passed on the way here. Somebody that pledged themselves to the Black Dragon, hopefully, if there are any of our forces left, that's where they would have made their way to. And she takes a moment and she looks at Faye and Enzo. The two of you should go, though, Faye. This is your chance to get back to Golden Grove. The place where you belong, where your people are going to need you for whatever comes next.
And do what exactly?
Lead from there. If we lost this battle, the Targaryens are going to want answers as to why your forces were not pledged to them. And right now, with the rebellion still ongoing, they're going to try and push you to do that. If you're not at your house, you can't protect it.
No? You always did underestimate me.
I'm not underestimating you, Faye, but there are cards at play which you haven't even seen yet.
Then tell me what I'm to play against.
The two of you should go. Me and my knights, we will make our way back to one of the houses. Why stay in a battlefield, Faye? You didn't want to be here in the first place. Golden Grove is where you would be if I hadn't taken you hostage. You are no longer my hostage.
But you did take me hostage.
And now I am releasing you from that.
Very sweet of you. A little late.
Go back to Golden Grove, Faye.
Why? What am I likely to see if I stay?
More of whatever the hell this is. And if we've lost that battle, it's not getting any better for anybody. Please.
Faye will look back over the battlefield, the direction that Samwell went. And look back at her. As you wish.
Mara kind of gives her a long look and she's looking to try and see if she thinks Faye really means it. She'll look over at Enzo. Take her home, Enzo, please.
My original plan.
And then Mara will turn to her knights and basically begin explaining to them that what she wants to do is head back towards either Ashford or what was the other house that we tried to align ourselves with?
Bossaway.
Bossaway.
Yeah. Whichever one is closer is where Mara would...
Bossaway, I think. Cider Hall.
Yeah, that's to head in for us to go in that direction. But Mara wants to take a route that will give them a look at the battlefield because she still wants to see if she has an army, because if she does, her intention is to, if they are still somewhat organized, like if that fight is still kind of going on weirdly, to try and call them back with her and just pull them from there if it looks like things have gone really south, and make their way back to Fossaway with as much of House Tarly's forces as they can.
Okay.
Before they go, Enzo will... Mother,
Yes.
you aim to have shelter at one of these houses, no?
I hope so.
Would it not be more beneficial for the person who actually is in charge of the house to not just capture you, have you a prisoner, and then give you over to the loyalists as a bargaining chip to switch sides?
I could.
Most likely would.
But it buys me time.
To do what?
And if my army still exists.
If.
It's war, Enzo. Everything is if. For all I know, we could be winning on that battlefield.
I sincerely doubt it. If you look down at that camp, I think that's your answer there.
But At least I have choices that way.
You do?
And I can still surrender,
You can.
but I won't know what cards I have to play with until I see them. And staying out in the bushes here, if I get captured by one of the houses in some horrible coup, at least they're handing me over to people that know who I am, what position I hold, rather than soldiers like the men in that camp who won't care.
True. And that is good. If you are to surrender, ensure that you surrender yourself to a commander, or a knight at least. But there is one other card you haven't come up with. You could always come with me and Faye. The sapphire is not far from here. I could sell you.
Is this like slightly after we've had the conversation? Because if we're not kind of the two of us...
It's probably just as you're about to go and he gives that suggestion.
Mara will kind of guide Enzo away from Faye if she can, like walking with her knights as if I imagine they're going to like ready the horses again and to move. But if Faye will let her take Enzo just off to the side.
I think that would leave her all on her own in the middle of nowhere,
No,
right?
you still got
It would, yeah.
you still got my knight. He's still there.
Oh.
Not too far, but again,
if Enzo seems okay with that, that's fine.
Yeah, he seems all right with it.
And Mara will talk really low and kind of step in to Enzo's space almost. I can't come with you because I made a promise. I have a duty to this house, and I know I'm very, very good at seeming like I avoid duty at every turn, but not this time. You have to get Faye away from here, and quickly. Take her back to Golden Grove. Anywhere but here.
Do not worry about that. That is the plan. That is my original.
And she'll kind of take Enzo's hand, like very gently, just over the top of his wrist. You don't understand, Enzo. She needs to be back at Golden Grove. If I don't have an army left, and maybe even if I do, Golden Grove isn't safe, and I'm not talking about the Targaryens.
What are you talking about?
It might be nothing. And I can't tell Faye.
You can tell me.
You can't tell her. You can't.
Fine.
Faye, or at least her house, her lands, were part of a deal that was made with House Fossaway. We needed the forces, we needed the support, and Faye wasn't going to give us her armies. Armies that we thought we'd need for this battle. I'm not sure there was ever any intention that me or Samwell would go through with that deal. He cares about her very, very much. I swear to you, he does. But if our army is gone, it could be nothing. The deal doesn't stand. I don't even know if the Fossaway showed up on the battlefield today. But if it doesn't, they are after her lands, her titles.
What was the deal?
I don't know exactly. They kind of proposed a marriage between Faye and their firstborn son. But it's war. Promises get made that people have no intention of keeping.
Did Faye agree to this?
No, of course she didn't. Otherwise she would know. Neither
That
Samwell
is-
or I would force her to marry somebody she didn't want to marry.
Sounds
Hell.
like you tried to.
We tried to make a deal that gave us an army.
Yes, I
We would have
suppose so.
gotten out of it with another deal when we had an even bigger army, when we'd won the battle. But it could be nothing. That means nothing now if there is no army left. But if not, either way, they clearly have an interest in her house. And wartime is a great time to strike at the people you want to take from.
So tell me, why can I not tell her?
I don't know how she would react. And it could be nothing. Like I said, this could have disappeared. If there's no army, there's no deal to keep if they never showed up on the battlefield. There is nothing owed. But also because I think she still cares about Samwell too. And she has lost enough people that she cared about to lose someone else, whether it's in memory or otherwise. She hates me. It's not why I'm not telling her. She already hates me. But if this does go wrong and he is dead, I don't want her to hate the memory of him too.
Very well. If there is no immediate danger to Golden Grove and her people, I will not tell her. The second I feel there is, she knows everything.
That's fair. And I swear to you, if I find out that there is a threat to Golden Grove, I will do everything that I have the power to do to get rid of that threat.
That's very generous of you, but I am sure Faye is more than capable to do that herself.
I'm sure she is. But if I can negotiate a way out of that deal, if it still stands.
Unfortunately, Mara, I think your negotiation, you don't have much strength left. If I were you, I would leave. I would go. And I would try and have a happy life with what left you got.
Everything that I have is still here. Or it's not, and I have nothing, so it doesn't matter either way. But Faye and you, and she gives him a little coy smile after having heard his little declaration of love earlier, can still be happy. Faye still has her house and her armies and you. Get
Don't
her
worry.
back to Golden Grove so she can be the lady of Golden Grove, and I will try to keep what is left of my house together.
Well, I wish you good luck in that.
You too.
Don't worry about us. I always plan to live happily ever after.
You sure you're a pirate and not a prince?
Maybe a pirate prince.
That has a ring to it.
Maybe it's something that I was consider.
Thank you, Enzo.
Good luck,
She'll-
Nara.
She'll let him go back and she'll stay with her knights to prepare whatever and chat over, routes or wherever they're going, the usual thing.
Yeah.
I'll head over to Faye and look at her and... You ready to go?
She's still got the bow down by her side with an arrow knocked in it, and she's just kind of got her fingers on the string, just stroking the fletching, looking at Mara.
Enzo's looking at her, and he's like, if you want.
Her eyes will dart up to his for a second and she'll see that recognition of what she's thinking. And hold that gaze for a moment and then shake her head and break herself out of it. Where are we going?
The Sapphire is not too far. We will sail. We will sail you back home.
Can it go that far upriver?
It won't go upriver. It will have to go back down through the mouth, and we will set shore somewhere and then travel inland.
She'll kind of squint at that, like, I don't believe you. But I think at this point she doesn't care. She just wants to be out of this situation and she's tired. So she'll let him have a victory.
My first and only.
Okay. So, sneaking away. Do you all intend to sneak away now, within the kind of remits of this scene? The sun's just setting and you head off, or do you want to wait until it's properly like nighttime, or even kind of towards the kind of false dawn, like really early morning or anything?
I might be half tempted just to wait until night, just darkness, just to help us even more go through. I mean, we only have to travel about like half an hour. It's not that far for us to the Sapphire.
Yeah,
fortunately.
But we are incredibly visible.
Yeah,
like, this is flat land, right?
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
exactly
plains and river banks. So
the idea is at night, and then see if we can get there as as we can.
Yeah, Mara's intentions are the same because obviously her and her knights are also on horseback. So the darker it is, the less noticeable they're going to be riding across flat land. Especially since she wants to try and find a vantage point to see what's left of the battlefield. See if she can see where people have left by, or if people are still there.
Yeah. So the dozen or so foot soldiers that have been picking through the camp have now kind of sat down and kind of made it theirs for the night, and they are round a campfire. And so there are a couple of them on watch at a time, 3 or 4 of them at a time, and the rest are either chilling by the fire, drinking, eating a little bit of the scram that they can find around, and some of them are then kind of sleeping or heading off to sleep either under the stars or in a little kind of one of the kind of broken tents that are nearby. And so I need Enzo and Faye to roll me a stealth sneak, please. Okay. And for it being black like this, really dark nighttime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you are going to get a keep dice to roll and keep.
All right, I'll do one more. Oh, actually, I'll just add the 2 in that. So it'll be 12. I mean, it's what I rolled for. Oh, actually, no, I better roll another one because I could.
Yeah, you better,
better, couldn't I? Oh, I did get a better. So it would be 14.
And a 15
for me.
Nice.
Very nice. Okay. And the 2 of you sneak away into the night towards the Manda in order to get to the Mermaid Sapphire. And V, I need you to roll that same test, please. Stealth sneak with a keep dice added.
Let me just roll 1d6 in here.
Sure.
Nope, that's
a D16.
Yeah, didn't mean to do that. So in total, that will be 12.
Fab. All right. You and the knights are able to sneak away down towards the south towards where the battle took place. You're able to find another brook of trees where you can get a vantage point over the battlefield, and even in the midnight, moonlight, pale moonlight from the sky. You can see the kind of not for the first time for Mara, that kind of littered field of bodies, and it looks like they're concentrated on one kind of central location around where the battle has been, but you can see the kind of slicks of mud glistening off the moonlight, where you've seen the flanks kind of come in. Roll me warfare strategy.
I don't have anything in here, but could I argue for a bonus dice, because Mara has been in all the War Council meetings. So even if she herself doesn't necessarily understand warfare, she understands from like a very broad perspective of what their plan for this battle was. Still going to roll horribly. Oh, okay. 11. That's not awful.
Okay. So you can ask me one question about the scene that you have in front of you in order to deduce something about what happened, either in the battle or the aftermath of the battle.
I think for Mara, the thing that she's keenly interested on isn't even really who won or lost at this point, but it's what happened to their flank in terms of like the actual Tarly flank. Does it appear that they all fell on this battlefield, or is there a significant kind of, what you've got tracks of mud where people have come in and off, and is there one of those that would look like the sensible option based on where she knew that they were going to be entering the battle, where they may have retreated in a direction or left in a direction?
See, now, so this is interesting because last time we framed it that Harris kind of had a last minute change in a way to the battle. But it looks like
Tarly had war machines as well, though, so I imagine that those, if they're still on the battlefield, those would kind of stick out as to
and
where
they are
some
all
were.
broken, charred frames with a little bit of smoke still smouldering off them. Scorpions, the catapults, I believe, as well, all broken and burnt. And you can see that there is, it looks like there is a trail that leads off to the west, where a force has been harried away, has been basically kind of harassed off the field. But you can't tell from here whose corpses belong to whose house, unless you were to get much closer and inspect the tabards and the armor of the dead knights that are here.
Is that west direction in line with heading back towards Fossaway or Ashford? Any of those houses that
No,
we'd
that's
pass
the
along
opposite
way?
direction. If you head directly west from here, you get towards the Shield Islands. If you head northwest from here, you get to Old Oak. And if you head southwest from here, you get to Old Town.
Does this look like it's a dead battlefield now, right? As far as Mara can see from here,
Absolutely.
nobody's picking through it right now, or
Nope.
If they can get close enough just to see the bodies that are lying generally off towards that direction, she's not going to be able to stop herself, because if this is where House Tarly has gone, this is the direction she's going to stupidly go in. But if it looks like this is mostly bodies of other houses, then she'll continue with her intended plan, but she wants to have a look and see if these are her men or not.
So you head to that flank, you head off to where the Vanguard were in the battle, and you head through where all the siege equipment was set up, and you can smell that burnt wood in the air And you look down into the mud and you can see the engineers, some of their dead bodies now charred or with an arrow through them, or cut from the side up to the head. And the blood mixes in with the mud and it begins to stink up your nostrils. You head further towards the west to see where the force was harried off the battlefield, and you can see kind of scattered around, not in any kind of particularly large numbers, Tarly men in their tabards, by their tabards and by their armor. But the amount of dead soldiers here definitely doesn't constitute kind of like a full defeat of the army. And so you can only assume from what you see that there might well still be an army awaiting you somewhere.
Does it look likely, Tamara, just based on the density of the bodies that are Tarly here, that this would have been where they retreated, would have fought back for a retreat for? Or is it not really clear?
As in fought for a counterattack, or kind of
No, so
fought
if
like
they
a fighting retreat?
A fighting retreat, because she knew how big the forces on both sides would be, and that retreating from this just is sensible to assume that if you were going to run, you would have had to fight to keep that distance. So she's thinking if there's a lot of Tarly bodies here, this indicates that they probably went this way while making a fighting retreat. But if not, it's possible that this is just where a unit happened to fall in the battle.
Yeah, the kind of fighting retreat is a good assumption to make from what you can see.
I think she'll turn to her knights. All of the knowledge I have about warfare has come from sitting in war councils and listening to better generals talk. From your experience, from what you've seen, and she's not talking to the younger knight here who clearly probably hasn't had that many years' experience on the battlefield, but this older knight. If they made a fighting retreat here, and the army progressed west, do you think that's possible? Do you think it's likely? How hard do you think it would be to find them?
Gonna get him to actually roll,
She's now relying on, like, it's kind of clear this is where she wants to go, if that's what she set her mind to, but more his thing of, if it's like, we're not going to find them, they're going to have split up and run and regroup somewhere else, or whether or not he thinks they'd still be cohesive enough to find.
Yeah. He shakes his head and he says, "There's not enough to go on, my lady. They could have moved on. Without a commander at their head, it can be very unpredictable what happens next. But we can follow these tracks come the morning. See where they ended up.
If we follow west till the morning, see if we see any signs of them. If not, we take the long way back round to Fossaway. If our men are still out there, I'm not going to leave them behind."
He kind of, the younger knight kind of feigns concern for you, but a kind of, because he himself is this, but he says to you, "You look tired, my lady. Perhaps we should rest and then start again in the morning."
Let's move on from here first. I appreciate your concern, but I have been tired for a very, very long time.
That's a fucking mood. So he turns around and, acknowledges, away from the corpses.
Get away from the battlefield. If this is where they made their retreat, then perhaps we'll be lucky and we won't come across any of the Red Dragon's forces. We'll make camp somewhere safe, but far enough away from here so that when they start picking through the bodies in the morning, even if they follow tracks, they won't find us.
And you head off through that mud. The couple of horses that you have basically the older knight puts you on his, and then the younger knight kind of outrides for you, but the older knight pulls the reins of the horse that you're atop and takes you along the muddy tracks of what looked to be this retreating Tarly army.
I think there's a bit of Mara that, like, as she's just going past these bodies, it's even worse in the dark because it's just horrible shapes and figures, and it reminds her vaguely of walking through the battlefield for Vulture's Roost.
Yeah.
But this is worse. This is just tenfold that. And any time she sees a man wearing Tarly colours, there's a bit of her brain that tries to remember what that man's face looked like, and even in the darkness, just holding that in and desperately hoping to find the host, and secretly kind of hoping that she'll find Samwell there with them.
Yeah. Samwell. As you open your eyes, the sun pierces its way through your eyelashes. You blink a couple of times, and the sun is squarely on your face. You can hear a breeze against the leaves of a tree above you, and you're sat, not quite fully up, but you're sat up, seemingly against this trunk of this tree. Across the way, the breeze shakes the kind of bushes down by a small pond, just slightly down the hill from you, and a figure has led a horse to drink from the pond.
Samwell coughs a little bit and kind of like looks down where he's seated at what he's wearing. Is he still wearing his armor?
You are wearing your armor, yes. Some of the plates have been taken away to reveal some of the chain underneath, and even expose some of the joints. And they burn and they creak, but as you start to move a little bit, start to move your arms, your legs a little, you can see that the wounds that you've suffered have been bound as best as a layman could. Not skillfully, but they have been tended to. Can you remind us of what your wounds are like, what you've actually sustained during the battle?
So Samwell's sort of like, as he stirs, the first thing he does as he's looking down to his wounds and the blood on his armor, is he's replaying what he recalls from the battle in his mind. And so for a brief moment, he remembers clashing blades with Sir Gawain Oakhart, Sir Gawain's half-hearted surrender, and then the execution immediately thereafterwards. And he remembers Sir Gawain Corbray, the Kingsguard, one of the greatest knights in the realm, and Prince Baelor, both riding him down at the same time, meeting their forces with his cavalry. He recalls being struck several times by the Valyrian steel blade of the Kingsguard, and he remembers being pierced in the side by Baelor's spear before he wounded the prince and the prince fled. He remembers battering again and again his greatsword through the shield and into the armor of the Kingsguard, and Corbray again and again slicing into his arm, his shoulder, his leg once with his long sword. He remembers being swarmed by all sides, a whole unit of Targaryen infantry thrusting their spears up at him. And as he's fighting the Kingsguard, he recalls wildly swinging his blade, trying to keep their spears at bay, trying to scare them back. And then he remembers the final blow, when he grabbed onto Corbray's arm and ripped the sword from him, and when he thrust both Valyrian steel blades through the breastplate of the Kingsguard. And then he remembers riding away. You could feel the burning in his side. He could feel the blood trickling down his leg, pulling on the inside of his armor. He remembers his bear-shaped helm kind of being slightly askew, so his vision was sort of obfuscated, and he remembers the darkness starting to eat away at the corner of his eyes as he desperately rode his horse to try to get back up the hill and to the rest of his army to give orders. But does he remember anything after that?
No, he doesn't.
So there's a moment of panic as he realizes that's where his memory stops, and he grunts and he pushes his back up against the trunk of that tree. He digs his fingers, his gauntlet, into the tree trunk and breaks away some of the trunk and slides back down for a moment. And then he pushes up again. The second time, I think he gets to his feet and he glances once towards that figure that's feeding the horse down the way.
And as you get up, the horse bays a little, and it
how
actually
far away?
It's probably about 20 feet or so.
Okay, all right.
20, 30 feet. And the horse kind of turns its head to look one eye at you out from the side of its head. But it's now obscuring the figure that stands behind it.
What about his swords?
You look either side of you around the tree, you can't see your weapons.
Do I see them on the horse?
Roll me awareness notice. With all of these wounds and injuries.
So here's my question. I actually don't know the answer to this. Can you roll 0 dice? Like, can you go down to 0, or do you always roll at least 1?
I think if you don't keep any dice, then I don't think you can pass the check in any way.
Well, I'll roll this just because it's funny, but it's going to be a -4.
You know, your vision hazes a little, and it's still hard to, as you've stood up, the pain just sends shoots electric currents through your body in pain. And so as you try and focus on the horse and on the figure behind it, you can't quite tell what's on it. There seems to be a little bit of barding left and maybe some weapons, maybe a knight's arms on it, but you can't tell exactly what's on it.
Okay. He takes a couple of stumbling steps and then sturdies himself. He's breathing in and out hard. You feel sweat pouring down his face. It's a lot of effort just to stand in his armor right now. And he takes in a deep breath and then calls out, trying to steel himself and sound as hard as he needs himself to be in this moment. Reveal yourself. Who goes there?
The figure leads the horse around so that it effectively reveals the now gaunt face, looking a little older, and the hair is thinner, but the jawline, his height, and his features, and the piercing eyes of the knight that tried to ride you down the first time you went behind enemy lines, of Alistair, looking back at you. And he walks the horse rather sheepishly towards you, glancing back at you briefly and then away again and then back again.
He kind of looks him up and down, and he's not surprised in this moment. Is Alistair armed? Is he wielding a weapon?
He's still in kind of his semblance of his armor, but he has taken things off for comfort. So where maybe things would be digging into him, perhaps a kind of plate skirt is now gone. Or I haven't been in much armor in my LARP career. I'm trying to think what really starts to chafe after a while. Once you're in it, you're kind of in it. Yeah, pauldrons have come off, so there's less weight on the shoulders and stuff like that.
He takes a small step forward, rattling step forward, and says, Alistair, what did they do to you?
He, you can see he struggles with that a little bit, and his eyes flit between maybe a dozen quick memories that wash over him. He looks towards the horse, and then glances fleetingly back at you a couple of times, but then without now looking at you, looking down at the ground, he says, You fell from the battlefield, and I picked you up, and got the horse away from there. I tended your wounds as best I could.
He takes another step forward and stretches out a hand.
He flinches back. He literally flinches back, and he takes one step back, and then, obviously, on the side of the horse, strapped to it, like on his side where he could just reach to them, is Lady Forlorn and Heartsbane.
It's all right, Alistair. I thought I was scared that I'd lost you in that battle. But here you are. You saved me.
He looks down towards your extended hand and then up at you, and you see a flash of anger across his eyes, and he kind of shakes and rolls his head, and you can just hear him under his breath. No. Little mouse. Already doesn't need.
Alistair, it's all right. It's just you and I.
And he breathes in and purses his lips and just holds that expression at you.
How far away did we ride?
Far enough.
Thank you for binding my wounds, but I don't think that either of us will survive out here long, alone. We need to get somewhere safe. Will you come with me?
He looks, again, his vision darting around, and he looks conflicted. He looks back at the horse. He almost turns around, and then he begins to say it to himself, but then to you. No. I'm in charge here. Go sit back down. And you can't help but glance for a second at those two swords by his side.
He nods his head slowly, and he lowers his hand away from him. And he says, of course. Do you still keep the 7, Alistair? And he takes a small step back.
He looks confused for a second, but he nods without looking at you.
I have never felt the need to pray before in my life, but I did not think that I would see you again. And wherever we go, wherever you wish to go next, will you pray with me, Alistair?
His expression changes several times in a matter of a second. He kind of flinches and almost cracks a smile for half a second, and then kind of gets confused again. But then he He takes a deep breath and he says, no. No. I'm in charge now. Go and sit. Back down.
He pushes back another pace, and I think he feels his armor rattle up against the tree. And very, very slowly lowers himself to the ground, to his knees. He folds his gauntlets over each other and kind of clasps them at his waist. He doesn't close his eyes entirely, but his lids do get a little bit droopy, and just very quietly, too quietly for Alistair to hear, anything but one mumbled word: the mother.
It takes Alistair a moment or two to gather up his thoughts or his kind of inner strength to then come forward towards you, and standing over you, the horse now behind him, he asks, What happened between you when I was imprisoned? What? The only news I had was from Lady Myria, Greenmont,
Not
Mars.
Lady Myria, Greenmont, Alistair. Lady Myria Ironwood, daughter of Sir Oliver Ironwood.
He looks at you for a second, confused, and he's really just trying to process that. His eyes go wider as he that doesn't make any sense in his world whatsoever.
Things changed. We learned things while you were imprisoned. Many enemies grew within the Reach, and in Dorne, I've kept Mara safe. Her own family blamed her for what happened in their hall, sought to hold her responsible, tried to murder her. Prince Maester Targaryen was cruel. Your child was lost. So I kept her safe, and I waited for you.
And he can't quite bring himself to say it. And after mumbling to himself again, incomprehensibly, he says, "But you married. How?"
How did we marry?
How?
A political ceremony meant to unite the Reach, to capture the other lords, so that Blackfyre could control the Reach without a civil war, without unnecessary bloodshed. On our wedding night, we made our move.
No. No. That wife? How did you marry her?
We changed the rules, Alistair. We've always changed the rules.
He stares at you and then he licks his lips in anger. He's looking away and he's teary-eyed now. But he screams back at you. I let you into our bed. And then he almost can't bring himself to say anything else after that. A single tear streams down one of his sides of his face.
Samwell slowly again tries to leverage himself up the trunk of the tree. So he's standing and he doesn't fully extend a hand, but he does stretch out a little bit and he says, please, Alistair, this is not how I wanted this moment to be, but it's a moment I've dreamed of for years. People died today. Good men, brave men. For us. For our future, our houses. Can I just hold you for a moment?
He looks confused by that, and you can see this kind of like anger he's trying to contain as best he can, and his breathing becomes irregular, and then he pauses. He looks at you and he says, but we can't have a future. There only needs to be a future where I can get back to Mara. How do I get there?
I can take you there, Alistair. That's why. Did you get my letter?
And he swallows and almost rather dramatically kind of reels back up again and kind of shakes his head, and he looks down to the side, and then he says, barely audibly to yourself, what did it mean?
It meant that I can take you there, to her, that we can make everything right, that you can be free for the first time in years, that we can still make the world we wanted to make before happen.
But what does that mean?
Whatever you want it to mean, Alistair. You are a lord. And the reach is ours.
And strangely he says this, but he says, but we lost.
No. The war is just beginning. And the Targaryens will lose.
What is she going to think of me when I get there? I want her
Did
to
you
be
s-
my wife again. I want. And he starts to cry a little.
He tries to put a hand on his shoulder softly again.
You actually manage to this time. He doesn't flinch back.
There's real sympathy in his eyes through the pain. He says, "We've all suffered wounds, scars. We've all been victims. And we've all been oppressors. The good guys, the villains. None of that matters. Come with me. Let me speak with Mara."
His eyes are awash with tears, but for the first time, he holds your gaze. And it's then that you notice that he has a couple of hands on you, one around your waist and one on your shoulder. Not in a strong embrace, but in a friendly one.
And he grips, Samwell grips his arms around him and puts just a little bit of distance between the two of them, holding onto his arms. You can kind of look him up and down. Let's ride, Alistair. If we wait too long, who knows where she'll be?
Where do we go?
I can take you there. Do you have a second horse?
He looks down to the ground and he slowly shakes his head.
That's all right. As long as you don't mind me holding on to you.
You can see he holds something back there, but he kind of steps back to the horse and takes its reins again.
And Samwell's a little slower to approach. And he says, from behind the horse, "Did we ride west, north, east from the battle?"
I don't know.
That's all right. We'll find the river. We'll find the river, Alistair.
So he slowly helps you onto the horse, and then he takes the saddle. Actually, he takes like the kind of it sits behind you, and so he holds the reins around you, and so that he's got you so that you don't fall off.
Oh, okay. So I'm steering, and he's
No. He's steering, but he's effectively kind of like hugging you and holding the reins himself.
Got you. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. This is probably really awkward because Samwell's a big guy.
Alistair's tall too. They were both quite tall, I think.
Okay. So I guess then he kind of settles into the horse and he kicks the side of the horse a little bit and tries to get a sense of, basic geography, where they are. Is there smoke rising in the distance, right? It seems like it's probably the next morning or something like that.
Yeah. Although you can't necessarily tell the number of days. In the brief bits of conversation you might have with Alistair, you can ascertain that you think it's the next day, effectively. So Alistair can lead you back up towards the battlefield, and so very, very painfully, and with a very hazy head from the ride. You see a similar scene to what Mara saw. from the opposite perspective, from the opposite side, as he rides north up to the southern flanks. So you're effectively now have the kind of vision of like from the Targaryens side of the battlefield. So off to your left would be where the Tarly flank was. And you can see clearly that the siege equipment has been burnt. No, it's no longer smouldering, but is now there just in a wreckage. And there are a few corpses around of Tarly engineers that didn't flee, that unfortunately got caught in the attack there. And yeah, you can see the kind of mud and it kind of trailing off towards the west. And in the daylight here, like it is so obvious that, you know, this looks at the very beginning around the battlefield like a fighting retreat, but then it's like, you know, heading off, and then the prints become kind of more sporadic, and the mud and the tracks and stuff a little bit.
Is there any sense, like, as I'm surveying this, because I was in the battle when it was still happening, I didn't see the aftermath. Any sense of, like, you know, how many of my men fell? Does it look like at a glance? Like, does it look like a good deal of my forces got away because I had a massive army? What about?
Yeah, a lot of them. It looks like a lot of them got away. You know, there's a smattering of unfortunately dead Tarly soldiers, but they're scattered around. You know, it's the knight that fought off, you know, an attack to let their friends flee. It's you know, like a foot soldier that unfortunately just got like an arrow to them. So they're unfortunate attacks. So it looks like the fighting retreat has been rather successful, but like they've definitely left the field.
What about banners? You know, did, for instance, House Ball? What about Harris's banners? Is he there?
You want to trying to identify Harris, or maybe any of, like, because I don't really, and there were none kind of like,
I don't feel like
House Ball
I don't,
knights or anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to convince Alistair to ride into the middle of the dead. You know, and I don't want to be climbing over a bunch of corpses. But basically, like, you know, I know that Harris fell back to the center mass of the army, and they were being pushed while my force was up on the hill. Is there any suggestion that Baelor's forces retreated? Is there any suggestion that there was a massive bloodbath where Harris had formed his sort of final stand?
Yeah, I mean, based on these tracks, roll me a warfare strategy test.
Oh gosh. I think it's going to be a -4.
Yeah, just unfortunately through all the pain and through the ride, you just can't quite tell from the the blood has mixed in with the banners and the dead bodies. That meat grinder has left a pile of human corpses in the center of the battlefield, and it's now just being picked apart by crows and ravens.
Okay. So he puts a hand on Alistair's arm that's wrapped around his body, and he points specifically to a fallen Tarly knight, and then tracks through the mud, lots of tracks through the mud heading westward. And he says, that mud, those tracks, that's where she'll be waiting for us. That way.
Okay. And he begins to ride in that direction. Myria.
Oh.
Hello. Late, another evening. Just before you, just as you are retiring to your chambers. Maester, what was the old Maester's name again?
Dorian?
That's it.
Dorian.
Maester Dorian shuffles up with news to you. My lady, a letter.
From who? And she'll take it as she asks.
That is Bittersteel's own brand. And you look down at the seal, and it is the whatever his fucking gnarly, stupid, like
stupid horse breathing fire with bat
breathing
wings.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
designed by a 14-year-old.
It's the horseback dragon. Yeah.
Dumbass.
Yeah. So So it's sealed with Bittersteel's with Aegor Rivers's personal coat of arms.
Okay. Myria sees it, and so her spirits are buoyed somewhat. Like, this is a potentially good omen. If it was bad news, it probably wouldn't have a fancy seal on it. So she's just gonna, there's not doom and gloom setting in just yet. She just pops the seal and starts reading it.
Mm-hmm. And inside is an acknowledgement of your letter to report on how the Battle of the Boneway went. And he reports to you back that they are besieging Sunspear with the young Mayron Martell. Now, obviously, like, leading his house and leading the forces there. But they are quite happy where they are, basically. And they are going to essentially, properly wait it out. He does say that, he isn't able to kind of, afford the west of Dawn, or, the north of Dawn, more troops or supplies. He does say that Lord Jourdain is heading to you to catch up with things, and hopefully to kind of figure out what the next moves could be, providing that you can guard the way and hold the Boneway and hold the southern pass. He says that he heard from Harris that that basically, but what stuff you already know, that they met up with Samwell, and that now they're kind of they have a host in the Reach, and so they're hoping to meet up and actually engage the Targaryens, and rally more forces to their cause, that kind of thing. But there is no news on that front from this letter, just from where it's come from and what Bittersteel knows. But the young king is very optimistic and very pleased with how the Dornish invasion has gone so far.
Cool. We're doomed. All right. Okay. So yeah, upon receipt of that letter, Myria is kind of, that's not bad news. That's pretty good news. The siege seems to be going well. So she, she reads the letter, she folds it up, she turns to the maester. We are due to receive guests soon. Lord Jourdain is on his way.
Oh, very well.
So
Very well.
if you could try and find somewhere for them to stay.
Yeah, of course. And he wheels a little trolley into your chambers, and he's got little poultices and little potions and stuff like that. And as the two of you walk inside, he turns to you and he says, "How have you been feeling?"
Sore and in pain, but alive.
And he glances at your belly, but he takes a moment to say, and the baby?
No changes as far as I'm aware.
He turns back round to his trolley, and he starts kind of picking at little bottles and little kind of rolled up rags that could be dunked in things and stuff like that. And he kind of says, as he's just rifling through these things, he says, would you like something to perhaps ease the pain, perhaps something to sleep?
And she tends to take a moment to think about it. Not tonight.
And as you look at him, his hand rests firmly on a single small, slim, kind of square bottle with a cork in it. And you can see a kind of powder inside. And then in one smooth motion, he turns around to you. And it seems to you for a second that crawling up his neck and across his face, it's kind of almost like a bruise growing on his face, in a kind of a black, kind kind of unmistakable raven. And in the candlelight of the chamber, the glint of red in one eye as he stares intently at you before, with the kind of unnatural athleticism for an older, doddery maester, he charges forward towards you, uncorking the bottle.
My life. All right. Fuck this bitch. All right. Myria is gonna immediately scream for any of her men who may be in the vicinity. Part of the lockdown duties were regular patrols and guarding of her, because she fucking knew this shit was gonna happen. But yeah, okay, so this immediate scream, and then she's just gonna like get into like a defensive sort of position. I mean, she's not in her gear right now, but still, yeah, she's gonna try and just fucking get the maester off her.
So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll, have a kind of a contested roll. So I think like. He's going to roll... I'm going to roll athletics with, bizarrely, a, treat ailment bonus dice. Not that I have any in that, apparently, but yeah. So this is going to be an athletics test from him.
Okay. So, just to get it in my mind here, where we are in the scene.
Yeah.
Is Myria in bed at this stage, or was she in her chambers getting ready for bed? But not
I wasn't.
quite there?
Yeah, I wasn't imagining that you were in bed or even ready for bed. You were heading to your chambers. He got the real maester got you the letter and was wheeling in the little trolley. So you come in with a trolley, and you're effectively still in maybe whatever courtly garb you've got on, or kind of casual, comfortable wear around the castle. You're right there.
I got a hair in my mouth.
Oh. And so you're not in your little nightgown and
My little nightie, my slippers.
with your little you're not tucked in or anything. No. So you're up on your feet. But he's launched himself at you with this bottle.
Good job past me, because I said Myria is using a walking stick at the minute, so she has a weapon. So yeah, could I use my fighting skill then to just instinctively just bring up this walking stick to defend myself with?
Yeah, it's going to be the brawling specialty.
Bludgeons. Oh, brawling? Yeah, okay. All right, I have a bunch of die, don't I? Let's
You do, don't you?
I do. So let's use
Someone donate me a dice.
put 2 of them
Come
in
on.
there, 2 bonus die.
2 bonus dice? Okay.
Yeah, and it's still only a 13.
Where am I? Okay. Oh well, I mean I literally can't beat that. Fuck it, I'm gonna give him... Well, no, I can't even with bonus dice. Okay, that's just shit. A 5. Okay. So you fight him off in just that moment. And he is trying to push this bottle up towards your mouth. So what do you do to bat him away?
Okay, so if he's trying to come at her with the bottle towards her face, she has the stick in her right hand, and she sort of throws it up a little bit, catches it like that, and uses both hands on it to sort of wrench his arm away from her, and try and get that ball out of his hands.
Oh, okay, yeah. So roll for me then your another brawling test. Yeah, so you manage to push him away. If you want to try and get that bottle out of his hand, this is like a disarm, so this is going to be against his passive fighting, and you need 2 degrees. So this is going to be a 13 difficulty.
Okay. 9.
Okay, so you bat him away, trying to knock that bottle out of his grip, but he's clutching it so tight. You know, his knuckles are going whiter than usual from the grip. His nails kind of digging into that glass, even chipping away a little bit as that red eye, you know, flitters at you. It's like when you've got like a cat or a creature, another kind of, you know, like a big cat's eye, like in the light, kind of flicking past you. You can see the red shining there occasionally. A couple of guards come to the door, they bash through, and they come in with swords at the ready, basically their hands on their hilts, as they, you know, see the situation around them, and they see you and the maester squaring off, and for a second they're like just confused as to what the fuck could be going on, because this is Maester Dorian. They know who this person is. The fact that you're fighting is just absolutely, you know, weird beyond belief. So I want to give you another athletics off. One final one.
Okay.
With a bonus dice from the help from the guards that are coming in. As they hesitate, they're like, they almost don't want to like harm the maester, or maybe even, you know, handle him, you know, too badly. So that's why they're kind of hesitant, but they'll offer you a bonus dice in.
Okay. Yeah, and like Myria doesn't want to hurt Maester Dorian either, because he's really, really old. Okay. A 17.
A 9. That's still a very good roll for his 2 athletics. Oh, that was animal handling. That's still the same stat. It's still the same number. That's still the same number. Okay, wow, yeah. And with like, you know, almost what that is, like 3 degrees of success or something. 2, I think. He's wrestled back, and then the red eye is no longer kind of glinting in the candlelight, and that like black kind of birthmark starts to like fade away under his skin again, and you can see the kind of shocked view of the guy as he's kind of looking now at you as himself, just confused and like wondering, you know, what's going on.
Yeah, and I think as she sees that birthmark recede and the eye go back to normal and his features take that again of a confused old man, she's clutching her side because obviously she's still got fresh stitches there. It's going to hurt like hell. And she takes a step forward and she's, Maester Dorian?
Huh? Yes?
Are you all right?
And he looks at the substance he's holding in his hand and the stopper in the other, and he looks back at you and he just kind of mumbles confused, something to help you sleep?
No, thank you, Maester. And then she looks at the guards. Take him to his rooms.
And they try as pleasantly as they can to take the maester out of the room, but he kind of, you know, as he hesitates, and as he turns back and puts the bottle back onto his little trolley, and he kind of looks around at them, they do basically kind of take him by both arms and just walk him out of the room. And then there's a second before another guard kind of comes back with the trolley and pulls that away, and then closes the door behind them, and you're left alone in your chambers again.
And she almost says aloud to the room, if you want to talk to me, Blood Raven, talk to me. None of these theatrics. And then she storms like out of her room to go find Lysander. She's pissed.
Yeah, you ask around the guards, and they say that he is already gone.
Okay. Oh God. Oh fuck, I forgot I sent him off to murder a child. Okay.
Rather dutifully, he's off.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's good at his job. Fuck. Okay. All right. Okay, knowing that he's gone, she's gonna go find Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still got the bitter steel letter.
Mhm.
Look, Karen.
This is the same evening, right?
Yeah. She's fresh. She's like been walking too fast. Like she's probably got a sweat on. She looks terrible.
And he's like, he's writing something on some parchment he's found.
I received news from Sunspear.
And he looks up at you with a kind of lazy eye, and you can see another, there's a cup of wine by the side of the parchment.
I figured nothing to drink. Damn.
And so he takes it and kind of blinks a few times and reads it. Well, it's good of Lord Bittersteel to afford us one more fighting man.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think my fighting days are done for a little while.
Are you all right? You look... So you've seen a ghost.
I think I have. Do you take much stock in what they say about the Blood Raven?
1,000 eyes in one? Honestly, they come up with something new for every Master of Whispers.
I once thought the same. A strange thing just happened in my chambers. Maester Dorian, he seemed to have come over with something, tried to force feed me a medicine.
Do you know what it was?
His skin took on a sickly pallor, and there was this black mark that grew up his face, and there was one shining red eye.
He looks at you in disbelief, and he looks down at the parchment for a second. You glance over the words, and you can see that he's trying to write a song about the Bone Way, the battle that has taken place. And your eyes settle on the word on the name Bloodraven. And he looks up at you and kind of laughs and kind of shakes it off. But he doesn't say anything to refute what you've said.
This may be some ploy of his, or maybe it's just my paranoia. But be cautious.
Is Maester Dorian treating you again?
He is my maester. He has cared for me well. She'll see how he is before I trust him again.
Perhaps wise.
Sorry, I don't mean to disturb you. What are you working on?
This. If I had my harp, I would perhaps sing it to you, but this is something to remember our spy and our efforts here. So that our children, and he glances down at your belly, might remember what we did.
Does everyone know at this point?
There is only so much space in this castle, and only so many places to go, and so many people to talk to.
I see. Well, I had hoped to keep it to myself for a little while, but, well, there we go. News travels fast, I suppose. Well, I won't keep you any longer. Then have a good night.
And you, my lady.
And she's gonna head back to her rooms, but on the way, she kind of stops for a moment near that maester's tower. And yeah, she'll check on Dorian.
Okay. You head into his small chambers, and he is actually in effectively like a kind of porpoise like nightgown.
Mm-hmm.
And he's starting to go round and snuff out the candles. But he turns to you and he says, "Oh, my lady, is there anything I can do for you?"
Are you all right?
Yes, I think I am. What quite happened? What came over me back down in your chambers?
Do you remember anything?
It's very, very difficult to. I thought I'd fainted, but I remained stood where I was when I awoke.
I think that you had become an unwilling host to someone.
How do you mean?
And she'll look across his bottles of stuff, and his little potions and the like, and she'll pick up that square bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You tried to force feed me this.
That, my lady, is sweet sleep. A pinch, or even two before bed, would give you a beautiful night's rest. But three can be lethal.
There was a moment when we were talking when I saw something strange happen to you. Your usual demeanor shifted completely. There's a strange change to your appearance.
Change? How so?
One of your eyes became a deep, bright red. A strange black mark on your cheek.
Perhaps the shadows, my lady. In the candlelight.
I do not think so. Unless, of course, you have been harboring a secret desire to assassinate me this whole time.
Gods, no. No. I'm too old for the likes of all that. But I wouldn't get caught up in all this Lord Bloodraven nonsense. Stories for the small folk and young lords and ladies.
I used to think the same. There was a Godswood in the house where I grew up. I was always so afraid of it. My brother told me that I had another sister before, and that they had fed her to the tree. Terrified me when I was in my 4th year. But I could always hear the wailing, the crying of those trees. Maybe it is my superstition. Maybe I'm just tired.
He looks down again at the sweet sleep and he says, "If you do have trouble getting to sleep tonight, then a pinch is all you need."
Thank you, Maester. Rest well yourself.
And he nods and he waits for you to leave.
Yeah, and she's going to leave and go back to her room and not have a nice night. She's going to be there the whole time. Like,
do you take the bottle?
No.
No? You leave it with
she's
him?
not going to drug herself. Okay. No.
All right.
No,
Okay.
she's going to like absolutely be, in bed, but there's a dagger under the pillow, she's not going to have a good night.
Yeah. Okay. Enzo. The light of the morning gives you a full view and stark relief of the unfortunate scene ahead of you. Having stayed back and sticking to the brush and the shadows overnight, as you reached the Mermaid Sapphire, the morning gives you full view of the effective little paddle boat blockade that surrounds it. Highguard and foot soldiers on boats and along the shoreline are looking over at the ship as it has been turned around to face the mouth of the or the estuary that you came up. But it is beset by all these Highgarden soldiers and guards, crossbows from the soldiers in the boats, and there are kind of guards and patrolmen that are just kind of lazily leaning on their shields and spears along the bank, looking at it as your little boat has its own siege going on. You and Faye are held back, and your knight. And so in the morning light now that you can actually properly see exactly what's going on, but no sign of the rest of the crew and Bianca, save the occasional little just movement or head just along the balustrades across the top deck. What would you like to do, the two of you?
Enzo's just gonna kind of just laugh at just one thing after another. It's just finally gets his shit back, and now it's like, okay. Well, there is one good thing about these. They are Highgarden troops.
Yes. And it turns out that you do have a ship. I was starting to think that you were a little mad.
Well, I am, but I'm not a liar. Would you like to take the lead on this one, or?
Oh, you're trusting me now.
Of course I trust you.
Oh, this should be amusing. Right. And she'll draw herself up as properly as she can and push her hood back and trot very elegantly towards this ship.
Okay. And when you get close enough, the guards that are on the bank watching this ship about face turn towards you, and they don't level their spears at you or stand guard in particular, but they look ready just in case. But your noble garb is enough for them to kind of regard you with enough authority for them not to take you in straight away or attack. But they do ask, who are you?
Lady Faye Rowan of Golden Grove, Marshal of the North Marches, loyal advisor to Lord Leo Tyrell, and former hostage of Samwell Tarly.
Roll me, that's it. Roll me a status reputation check.
I'm going to put a bonus in this because why the hell not? I'm cross.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16.
It's juicy. It's good.
Ooh.
There is some chatter amongst the guards between them for a second. And you are left stood waiting until a sergeant approaches. Tall, balding man. Short, clipped hair. Grey around the temples and the back. And a very short, kind of stubble, but, unkept face and a little dirty from the fighting and from this guard activity that they've got going on. He's a sergeant because he's not actually carrying any arms with him. He's just in his chainmail and is helmetless. But he strides forward and he looks at you, and after a kind of second or two of acknowledgement, he takes a couple more steps forward and gives you a low bow and says, "My lady."
Sergeant.
Did you escape?
Yes. We had Mara Tarly in our grasp for a little while, but unfortunately, Tyrell men came across the field at precisely the wrong moment and they fled.
I hadn't heard any reports coming from the sortie over to the camp, to the Tarly camp.
Oh yes, they went that way. And points in the direction that Mara fled.
Very well. And so he looks back at the ship and then asks, "What are you doing here?"
Well, you appear to be attacking his ship.
And he
Our
leans
companion.
leans over you
And Enzo will have a little smirk on him. And
Perhaps you've heard of him, Captain Enzo Sal?
This
Yes.
this is the
Yes.
Oh.
You might want to stop.
all right. Who wants to roll? Who wants to roll something for me?
Faye, you're in charge. Yeah, you take the lead.
Persuasion then.
Okay, persuasion convince.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Just a quick, simple intrigue. A
20.
Oof, okay.
Woof.
And yeah,
Give
so
my
he
boyfriend
looks.
his shit back, you horrible man.
Yeah. Just Enzo behind you, just like yeah. And he looks rather sheepish before he turns around and issues some orders for the men to stand down. But he does say to you, and Enzo, if you approach, he says to the two of you, "I'll send a runner to Highgarden. I'll give word that you've escaped. Are you to attend Lord Leo or?"
I don't know what word of Lord Leo.
He has been rescued. He's being brought back to Highgarden.
Oh, that is good news. I need to return to Golden Grove to be with my people, but I'll send a raven as quickly as possible. If he needs me, I'll return.
Very well. Was there anything else that we could assist you with?
A rowboat to get out to the Sapphire.
And there can be one easily, as one of them comes to shore. Oh, the crossbowmen get out, and you've got like a little. They're more like they've just seconded these little pleasure barges that you would like paddle down or like punt down, or if you were like a lovely little
gondola.
noble afternoon, but they're just like loaded up with crossbowmen, so they all just like get out, and then you've got this little punt boat that you can head into the Sapphire with.
As I pass him, I'm gonna put like 3 silver stags in his hand and go, "For not putting holes into my ship. Thank you."
That's
Do you give... Oh, sorry. No,
quite,
go for it.
It's just going to say that's quite
Yeah.
all right. Nothing really.
Do send Lord Leo my best. I'm glad that I was able to send him my best.
Thank you, Sergeant. Right, to the boat.
Yep.
I assume we get in and head to the Sapphire.
Yeah, you can head straight up into the Sapphire.
Okay.
When you get on deck, there's no one on the top deck. No one up at the helm.
Yeah.
And, the hatches have been battened.
Yes. I'm gonna just kind of. It's normally a little busier than this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna just like tap the deck in. Go, Bianca, it's okay to come up now.
And there's a little from one of the hatches, and there's just these little pair of eyes kind of staring out at you before she opens the hatch fully. And then she kind of looks around and she's like, have they gone?
They are leaving now. Everything is fine. You have Lady Fyre to thank for that.
Oh,
Hello.
Sorry,
my
Okay,
lady.
this is Bianca. She is my first mate.
I have heard stories of you.
Good, I hope.
Oh, good.
Depends on how much drink we've had.
Where are the rest of you?
This is it. There has an unfortunate attack on the camp that we were, and I imagine the others have scuppered pretty quickly.
All right.
We might have to find a sailor or two along as we go.
She looks over to Lady Faye and she says, hope you know how to sail.
Oh, God, you're serious.
We can.
And
We
she
can do it
she
quick.
cracks a smile. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if you were pretty good at sailing.
I have never sailed a boat in my life, but I'm quite keen to find out how. I like a challenge.
and Bianca yells down to the rest of the crew below, and then soon out of every hatch, sailors start pouring, and they start getting the rigging all set and set sail for the estuary around towards the Shield Islands.
Enzo's gonna kind of like show her to his cabin, to to see if she wants to.
Am I booty now? What is
Right now,
this?
To see if she wants to. You want to end that sentence?
If she would like to see the cabin,
She wants
like
to
a
see the
little-
entire ship, but not
entire
even
ship.
just the smart bits. She's fascinated by every part of
So-
this, even the shitty bits.
in that case, so Enzo will do a tour of the whole Sapphire, right to the bulge at the bottom, like just like all the
Wading around in
gunk and
bilge.
stuff. Yeah, the bilge. That's it. The bilge, not the bulge.
Totally.
The bilge.
Down here is where we keep the bulge.
Yeah. And he'll even kind of like show you how certain things are done and why they're done, and like introduce you to the crew and everything. And I think it will end, and he'll be like, and this is the best part of the ship, my cabin. And he'll open and show you in. And the cabin is like it's got a big luxurious bed. It's too big for this room. It's so big that all you can fit is kind of like a side desk and maybe a chest or two, and there's very, very little room in here.
There's a focal point in this room, and I can't quite put my finger on what it might be.
I know. The chest is a little old. I should really get rid of it. It kind of draws the attention, doesn't it?
Shocking behavior.
I am very thankful that you were able to see the Sapphire.
So am I. As beautiful as you said.
Yes. Oh, I said I had something for you. One moment. And he'll kind of like go to a chest and open it up and take out this thing that's got a sheet on it. And he'll place it down on the bed and kind of close the chest. And he'll go, if you want to have a look at it, I will be right back. I've got to make sure that they are doing everything okay. I won't be long. And he'll kind of head out.
She'll watch him go, really confused, and then look to this thing on the bed and slowly take the sheet off it.
As you take the sheet off, you can see it's kind of like a model boat, like a small model boat. That's somewhat similar to the Sapphire, but probably just a little kind of like a little different, not as sleek. It's not like as slender as the Sapphire. It's more like a normal cog kind of shape. And in it, it's got a kind of like a small little parchment just nestling on it.
She'll look at the parchment.
If the parchment says, it may not be as good as the boat your father once gave you, but I hope this comes close. And there's also like a sentence underneath it. And it says, I have seen much and hope to see more. Without this companion's eye, the world will sail by. And it's kind of done kind of like, you know how a riddle would kind of done? Yeah.
Can you put that in chat for me?
I can, yes, sorry.
Thanks. She'll pick up the ship and turn it over in her hands. She's so befuddled by this. Was this on the ship when they got on it?
Or you know that it was outside of the chest that he got. Yeah.
Huh. Is there anything she can see on this boat?
There's quite a lot of things. There's essentially, it looks like a normal ship. It's got, rigging, like, it's like toy rigging. It's got rigging. It's got rolled up sails. It's got kind of like all the things that you would find on a normal ship, I suppose. It's got a wheel. It's got the anchor thing. It's got everything that you probably would want.
I'm so regretting not buying Red Bull today.
Oh no.
I'm under caffeinated.
That's all right.
Can you not do a knowledge test?
Yeah.
Cunning. What are you trying to just figure out what it is?
Yeah. I need help, Sam. I'm tired.
Cunning. Just roll cunning logic for me.
Yeah.
And this is a lovely place to end anyway. What was that?
Faye accidentally smashes the boat in frustration.
7. I can probably give you because just to get it done.
Yeah, please.
You essentially you need this to see far distances.
So you're saying that the ship is a fucking spyglass? What?
So the ship has a tiny little kind of like spyglass.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it usable for a human eye, or is it?
If you grab hold of it, you wiggle it, it looks like it can pull free.
All right, then I'll pull that free.
Okay, and there is a second parchment attached to it, very small.
Oh God.
Yep. Yep. So this one says, the glass eye sees much, but here I can see more. Touch the home of gods and watch them roar. That.
So that's clouds, that's lightning. Is there anything on the ship that makes her think of that?
Yes. You're probably thinking of a very high point of the ship.
Right, so top of the mast.
Mm-hmm. And there is a little crow's nest at the top.
Uh-huh. She'll twiddle the crow's nest.
Okay. as you twiddle the crow's nest, that comes off, and there's another parchment in it.
This is amazing. It's a bomb.
As you read this, it says, people run, horses charge, pull hard on the reins to halt this stallion.
So she'll go to the anchor.
Okay. You pull up the anchor and, well, you turn the wheel of the anchor and a small compartment kind of like clicks open at the bow.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, you are close to finishing and almost ready to set sail. Only one person remains for the journey to unveil.
Is there a little captain anywhere?
There is a captain's kind of cabin.
Okay, what's in there?
Okay, so you push the captain's cabin and another compartment will unlock. And inside there is another note. And it simply says, time to set sail, Captain. And there are sails that have been rolled up.
So she'll pull those down using what Enzo taught her about the actual ship.
Okay, and as the sails kind of like gently come down on it, you can see a golden tree with a sapphire-colored mermaid right in the center.
And she'll just sit on the bed with this thing in her lap, laughing her head off.
And after a bit, Enzo will come back in and he'll look and he'll have a look at the thing. Oh, you sold it. I'm so happy.
Who made this? This is incredible.
I wish I could take credit for making it. I designed the liddles, but it was made by someone else.
Well, whoever it is, you didn't pay them enough.
You say that, but it cost a fair amount.
I like it.
I am happy that you do. And he'll come in and like kind of just sit on the bed or wherever. They've sat on the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll sit down on the bed. When we get back to Golden Grove, we can put it in the river like you did before.
I'd like that.
It's not much, but I thought it would bring you some happy memories, considering just I wanted this to be a happy moment.
This design, though, pointing to the tree, I think we can do better than that.
Apologies for that. I don't think they were much of an artist. I think it was more of a beautiful craftsmanship, but the art seems much too...
We'll work on it. She'll stand up and pick the ship up and walk across the room and put it down on a table. I'm going to leave this here. I'd rather we didn't break it. I trust that door locks.
Several locks.
Good.
And you probably don't see Enzo move as quick as you have ever seen him as he goes straight to the locks and locks it.
Yeah. Very much a fade to black moment as she just grabs him and pulls him onto the bed.
And that is where we will end tonight's session, folks.
Yeah, we will. Finally getting banged.
Yeah. Good job.
Oh, that was cute. I'm sorry for needing tutoring through the beginning of that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Marry this man.
Fine.
Oh, you twisted her arm. Oh.
All right. Yeah,
We didn't get happy endings. What's this?
Enzo
Oh,
does.
someone just did. Oh.
Finally.
Story's not over yet. But for tonight, it is. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Let's go around and have a chat with people, see how they're getting on. I want to say a massive thank you to Don for being an amazing scene partner yet again. That was an awesome, awesome scene between Alistair and yourself. And I appreciate all the gasps in the cast and chat as well, as he revealed himself. So well done. Yeah, hello. Hi.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's all right.
yeah. No, I really enjoyed that scene. I didn't know what to expect, and it was awesome. Thanks for that, Sam. And for everybody else's scenes, I liked this episode a lot. I loved it. It does feel like it felt like a penultimate episode, right? Like setting up for like one last thing. I really enjoyed all the stories. I loved Blood Raven trying to murder Myria. I thought that was great. And I ship, Faye and Enzo, so I love that last scene too. That was really cool. Really cool. I'm sad that the Tyrells still exist, but I'll get over that part. I had a blast.
Thanks. Awesome. Well, where can people find you if they want to find out more about you or join in one of your games or something like that?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. Sometimes I tweet about the things that I'm up to. Certainly in the next few weeks and next month, I'll be talking about some new big projects that I'm working on that I'm really excited about. I write and design games. I run games, my full-time job. I will have a couple of seats opening up in some games here upcoming. So if you'd like to play a game with me, you can join my Patreon, which is linked there in chat. And I give my patrons, kind of first dibs on seats when they open up if you're interested in that. But other than that, I'm just looking forward to seeing how our story ends here. It's been a long time, like 3 years, right? Something like that. 3 years.
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 years. Yeah. And 6 seasons, and a lot has happened, and it's been an amazing journey. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how it ends, even if the ending is just the beginning of something new.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Susie, I almost got you if it wasn't for his meddling poor stats and elderly frame.
I'm so glad that we decided to just stick with like default maester stats for Maester Dorian, and then we didn't roll like an absolutely hench old motherfucker that would have like murdered me. Because it could have happened.
I would have loved it if he actually was just ripped underneath. He did exercises every day. It's why he's so old, because he's such in good shape. And he just ripped underneath his robe.
Like the one from the books, right? The Pycelle that everyone thinks is like a dog wheel fucker, but then he's all like,
Yeah.
What if that was Maester Dorian? I'm glad it wasn't. But yeah, so yeah, I'm glad I'm alive and not poisoned with sweet sleep, because that's a pretty rough way to go.
Yeah, do you want to see it? I made a macro and everything, and I didn't get to use it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Who would kill someone with sweet sleep? That's just mean.
Against your passive endurance for 24.
24?
Yeah, that's what 3 pinches
does. Passive endurance?
Yep.
That is double my passive endurance. I would have like triple died.
So -2 dice on cunning and endurance tests with an additional 1D for every additional degree of success. Knocks you out for 24 hours. If you'd have got, because you've got endurance 3, right? If you'd have got, so if that was 2 degrees of success, which it sounds like it is, you would be dead.
I would be dead.
Yeah. So congrats.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay. Yeah. All right. But didn't die. Can't wait to see that D6 from you, Millie. Welcome to the club.
Millie. We'll come to that.
But anyway, as for me, I will not be on your screens tomorrow, as I am not here for the weekend. I'm having Easter celebrations with my in-laws, so I will not be anywhere over the weekend, but I will be back here on Monday for Crusader Queens, where Sam and I put on our beautiful faces and then we take on the world. And yeah, we try and take over countries and stuff. And I'm going for France right now, but James owns half of France, which is a bit of an issue. So
We secretly wanted Portugal, so if we team up.
yeah, right. Well, here's the thing, Sam. I don't want to admit it, but ages ago, I did actually murder 2 of James's children.
Wow.
I didn't know they were James's children. They were the kings and queens of France, and I was
knows?
slowly murdering my way through French kings.
Oh no, I remember that.
Yeah, a couple of them were me. So sorry, James, if you're in chat. Hi. But yeah, back on Monday, then on Tuesday on my channel doing something at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's all the time I stream on my channel. Then here on Wednesday for Spy Game, which is the game that we did make. I play the hacker Thrina, and we're in a plane where 3 of several doors are open. It's depressurizing. We don't have control of the electronics. Noir shot a hole through the plane. We have parachutes, and my Interpol fiance is also on the flight, so that's good. So tune in for that too at 2 p.m. Wednesday.
We get into some scrapes, right?
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear. Tom, you lovely, lovely man. That was so cute.
I'm all right.
That was so
alright.
cute.
Yeah. Funny enough, the idea came, probably last year sometime.
I remember you
Early
asking,
on-
can I get like a little model boat made? And I was like,
lovely.
yeah, I guess.
So I said that. I think there was actually an offline conversation with Millie, because we were talking. It was when we were taking the boat from Highgarden up to Golden Grove all that time ago.
Yeah.
And I remember we were saying what we were talking about. This was offline. What we were talking about. And I remember Millie saying how her father gave her a ship, but her brothers broke it. And I went, okay, all right, I'll do that.
Steal
and I
that
remembered
away.
that. So
Yeah.
from then,
Aw.
and the riddles were just for Millie, because I know how much you love riddles. So that's just for Millie. But
Nice.
yeah, so I've been waiting for the right moment to do it. So I
Aw.
thought that was it. Yeah. But
That was very
yeah,
cute.
it was
Because
fun.
that's the bit that threw me, that it had been so long and that we'd been through all that stuff. Like, there's no way he would, this is for me. So it can't be a riddle. It must just be a thing he's got.
Oh yeah, I just want to show off my boat.
Yeah, here's my toy boat.
This is the,
Thought you might
this is the
like it.
model of my boat.
This is my
Um,
toy boat.
This is my toy boat. It's not as good as my real one, but it's close.
But both of them are real, we now know,
Yeah.
which is fun.
That's it. Actually sailing on the and I genuinely and I was very thankful that because I was dreading the second I saw the soldiers around the. I thought, God, no, not again, and just unleash Faye,
Yeah.
Faye on
He's
Absolutely.
been wanting to do that to somebody for a while.
Yeah,
I have
loved
been
it.
a prisoner for so long and I haven't got to pull rank on anyone. I've been so restrained. Please
I
let
loved
me
it.
tell.
I loved it.
But yeah, I love the episode. It's great. It's great. You know, the Alistair and Sam. I can't wait for the next part of that. Oh my God. I genuinely thought, Don, 100%. I genuinely thought you were going to cave his head in at some point. I really did.
I feel like
Everybody always thinks the worst of Samwell.
Yeah, well, you know, we have reason.
I feel like that's like still on the cards.
I still think it's on the cards. I really do. I just think he wants Mara as an audience, really. I think that's it.
I think he was telling the truth.
You know, a part of me thinks that too, because I still remember him saying that he loved Alistair back in season 4. I think when Enzo got him drunk. Yeah, so it could be. I think he's going to try and make it work.
Don played it really well, and I knew that scene was going to be just talky, like we weren't going to bring in an intrigue into or anything like that. But Samwell definitely has played into exactly what Alistair wanted, and so
Interesting.
he's going off with him.
I'm very excited for that next part now. It's going to be such a disaster, but I'm all for it. I'm for
Definitely.
it. Yeah.
I can't wait either. Awesome, thanks, Tom. Yeah, up to much. What are you playing on Tuesdays now with Susie?
We're not
Did you
actually
decide on a
playing
game?
anything. Not really. I think we might go back to Phasmo when an update comes, because Lighthouse. But Yeah, at the moment, I don't think so, because we played Phasma for such a long time, but week after week for months upon months, and it's a great game, but sometimes you need a break.
After a while, yeah.
After a while, you kind of need a break. So, who knows? Who knows? We might find another game, or we might hang out, or whatever. But yeah. Who knows?
Fair enough. All right, thanks so much. Millie,
Hi.
roll a d6 for me.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
No, it's that. She did it. Traumatized.
Okay. Beautiful episode again. I loved how you pulled rank. Really, really loved that. All the titles and everything.
Yeah, that was nice. Just once, because it's not the same doing that as a hostage. It's not quite the same. But very nice to go like, you're besieging my friend's ship. Could you stop? Maybe. You probably don't want to do that. It's the friendliest rank pulling I think has ever happened in Westeros. So
Quite possibly.
there's that.
Quite possibly.
No, that was lovely. I'm still so furious that she didn't have a chance to pop a shot off at Mara, but there was no way that was ever going to happen.
You did, though.
Well, no.
We could have taken them.
There's no guarantee of that, though. She's more useful on our side of it.
Yeah. We could have
Also, Samwell, residual feelings. Also, attacking forces, scouting around would probably hear something. And that could get nasty too.
But
so,
we're fighting their enemy.
They don't know that. Like you said, they're just soldiers. They see fighty fight, they fight.
That's a good point.
No, probably best to just sneak away and keep this all like simmering and leave it for a bit. But she really wanted to. Yeah, I could feel her in that moment, just like, oh, it'd be so easy. She's riding away and everything. I could just get her in the base of the sky and just end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but instead I got to go back to a ship and meet a lovely lady and see a toy boat. So that's good.
And homeward bound as well.
Allegedly.
As
long as that's where we're going.
I don't know. Tom's going to have to tell me.
Who knows where we're going?
But where can we find you if we want to know?
You can find me over on Twitter on Amelia Tyler, because that's my name. I'm hoping to start actually streaming rather than saying I'm going to start streaming at some point soon. So who knows? I've had a camera in a box next to my desk for 2 months. So, ADHD and stuff. But until then, follow me over on Twitter. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming up I can't talk about yet, but it's going to get all good.
Nice.
And in the meantime, my tabletop shows have got a little bit calmer now that a couple of them are slowed down a bit. So Mondays I'm over on The Wandering Inn doing sci-fi show Drifting. I'm playing a whole bunch of Wild RP at the moment because it's crack, and apparently that's an issue I have.
Fair enough.
So Wednesdays in particular, I play that with Jay. I've rolled up a new character, not at all based on my vampire character that I was playing in that Vampire the Masquerade campaign. So I'm playing a former brothel owner now who is getting up to some stuff. It's good fun. And there's other stuff coming up that I will let you lot know about once I can talk about it. It's very exciting.
All right. Thanks so much. And finally, V. Stellar episode from yourself again today. And managing to sneak around and try and figure out what's going on with the Tali army as well.
Yeah, Mara's not really very good at doing what she's told. And in her head, she's like, well, I'm kind of doing what Samwell asked me to do, but also can't help it. Weird sense of loyalty that doesn't seem to exist for anything else in her life. Just this house. But also she knows that her being pregnant is still a fairly poor bargaining chip and relies on her actually getting pregnant in some timely manner. Whereas having an army and being able to either offer it for use or withdrawing it from a battle is a much better bargaining chip.
That's fair.
Especially if she does end up having to do a Samwell Larsen surrender, being able to put in your terms of surrender that hey, I'll pull all of my armies if you just let me go back to my house and sit there, and I'll stay the fuck out of the way and shut up. You don't really get that if you don't have an army. So she's making an effort to do as he asked, while also still being her usual.
Yeah, sometimes when you offer that, you still get held hostage. It's weird.
Yeah. Sorry. Hey, look, she genuinely did try to do right by Faye tonight, and that, like, I know some things.
Mm-hmm.
Enzo, get her out of here, get her back to her house. It might turn out to be nothing and it'll be fine, but if not, at least she's there where she needs to be. So
I really hope she's pregnant so this guy can just rock up at the gates and be like, we're getting married. And she's like, oh, really?
But legitimately tried to do one nice thing for Faye that was not rooted in entirely her own selfishness. But also, you know, she heard Enzo's little declaration of love. It's kind of sweet.
Was I the only one who genuinely thought she was going to bang a knight then and there?
Oh no, I
genuinely thought
Sam,
that
I want
was
some
the plan.
fiction from those knights, their point of view reading that letter, just like the moment of what the fuck.
Okay.
I tried to get her out of this. We're not going to talk about it. If you're not, if this is not a thing, it's fine. We're just never going to discuss it again.
Yeah.
Just.
But are you willing to do what the letter says? I think it was roughly what you say.
Yeah, she's not going to like push them with like, you kind of have to do this. It's just kind of, this bit is entirely your choice. That the whole pledging your sword and like not letting me get murdered by somebody as we travel, that's kind of your duty. Everything else is entirely your choice.
I can just imagine the guy like running his thumb over it, checking the ink's not wet. Did she write this? What's happening?
But yeah, I am really excited to see, because Samwell and Alistair are now heading in the same direction Mara went, and there is nothing that I have ever wanted more in this campaign than to see the conversation that could ensue if they meet. I want to see if Samwell's real thing is like the three of them can make it work. I want to see him try. I want to see what he comes out with to try and convince Mara of this. Like, I need that in my life.
Okay. Well, we know what you're trying to figure out by the end of the season. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a big thing, because like Alistair is a big unresolved thing for Mara. But also I just want to see that scene when Mara has to deal with the fact that this man she hates just saved her husband's life, and now it's all really complicated and messy in like 10,000 other ways.
Now it's complicated and messy.
One brain cell many.
To be fair, it was less complicated and messy before.
I think it was always complicated and messy. She just didn't know.
Yeah. But no, I would love to see. I'm terrified. I'm scared for all of us. I'm scared for Myria, most of all. Please don't die.
That's fair.
You trip over a blade of grass, roll endurance.
So, where can we find you? What are you up to?
I am not streaming at the moment because I have a ton of work on. But eventually I'll get back to it probably sometime. You can find me on Twitter. That's where I tend to be shouting about things. Right now, my own projects, I have a Ravenloft game called Dread Realm starting in May, which is like a Ko-Fi membership-y thing, similar to Patreon. So if you want to run around in terrible, gribbly Ravenloft places with me, you can send me a DM to get a seat on the game. I've only got 2 seats left, so there's that.
Nice. Cool. All right then. Fab. Well, as for us, we are next live, as Susie said, on the Monday, playing Crusader Queens. On Wednesday, we should be back with Hexcrawl for our spy game campaign, which is the game we made that Susie's going to flash up right now because she's got it. I can see her doing it. And then next Thursday, we are not playing because I'm away. And then the week after, probably our final episode, I guess. But we'll see. We'll have a chat about what people want to get up to and finish that up. But as for now, let's go and raid somebody. I've picked out Fumble Folks. It looks like they're playing some D&D. Chasing Shadows, level 15. Good for them. So say hi to them, give them some juicy fruits in chat, and we will see you next time, friends. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.